In this video, we're going to look at two important formulas in the coordinate system. The first is the distance formula, and then the second is the midpoint formula. So the distance formula is based on the Pythagorean theorem. If I want to find the distance between 2 points, so the length of this segment here, you can drop a perpendicular down and across and see that this is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And therefore, we would be able to use that in order to find the distance between 2 points. So what you're going to do is you're just going to identify which one you're going to call point 1 and point 2. You'll then find the difference between point 2 to point 1 in the x's, distance between them in the y's, plugging in. That way you can find your A piece and your B piece, and then take the square root so that you find the distance. So let's plug in to this distance formula for these 2 points. Let's call this point 1. Let's call this point 2. And so the distance formula says we're going to do the second point's x value minus the first point's x value and square that, plus the second point's y value minus the first point's y value and square that. This is going to end up being the square root of 5 squared plus 4 squared, 25 plus 16 gives me the square root of 41. I'm going to leave this in exact form and just say that this is going to be my final answer. Sometimes it might be nice to just graph this and use Pythagorean theorem to make these connections that the distance formula is just the Pythagorean theorem. So my change in my x's from here to here is 5. My change in my y's from here to here is 4. And so 5 squared plus 4 squared must be equal to c squared. Notice we'd end up getting the exact same answer as we did with the distance formula. All right, the midpoint formula finds the middle of a segment in the coordinate system. So again, we're going to define 2 points. But notice this time I'm not finding a length, I'm finding another point. So I'm going to average the x's as the x point and average the y's as the y point. So if I need to find the midpoint, this is going to be point 1, this is going to be point 2. I say 7 plus 9 over 2, so finding the average of 7 and 9, and then finding the average of my y's. 16 over 2 gives me 8. 3 over 2, I'm going to leave as a mixed number. And so if I were to try to figure out where the midpoint between this segment and 9, 5 would be, it makes sense that if I have an x of 7 and an x of 9, that the midpoint would be an x value of 8. And then the distance between 5 and -2, right, is 7. And so it makes sense that like the halfway mark on the y's is here, or the average of -2 and 5 is 3/2, whichever way you want to think